Ready in 5, 4, 3.
Good evening, everybody. This is Tracy Goldeisen, editor of the Rio Rancho Observer, and we are here at Rio Rancho Public Schools as part of a candidate forum for the primary election here in Sandoval County. And tonight we have with us Sandoval County Commission District 3 candidate Edwin Linson joining us, and we are hosting this in conjunction with the Rio Rancho Regional Chamber of Commerce. And so, Edwin, thank you for joining us tonight. Your opponent, Daniel Stoddard, was unable to attend tonight, so we hope to catch up with him later. But to start, why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself?
You bet. Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you to the Rio Rancho Observer and Rio Rancho Public Schools for hosting this event and allowing me to show up. I appreciate also the audience for being here, and especially my family. It's a big deal for me. I'm not a politician, but I'm here. So my name's Edwin Linson. I'm been married to my wife for approximately 21 years. I have five children. 4 of those children are adults and live in Rio Rancho, and I also have 4 grandchildren who call Rio Rancho home. So this is where I live. I love Rio Rancho, and I'm running for District 3 Sandoval County Commissioner.
Okay. And what made you decide to run for Sandoval County Commission, and why do you feel you are the best suited to serve in that role?
Well, I just retired recently from Sandoval County Sheriff's Office. Last year, June of 2025, I did 24 years of service. Some of that service was Albuquerque Police Department, and then after that, I was the Chief of Police at Bosque Farms Police Department, and then I spent my last 6 years at Sandoval County. So after retiring, me and my wife were doing some soul searching, looking around our community. We love our community, and I just have a sense of service and drive, and I felt like there was still some work to be done. I feel like I'm young, and I could get in county commission and get involved with my community and represent District 3, represent the people of my community, and I would love to hear what they have to say, and I can relay that as their representative.
Okay. And to your mind, what is the greatest challenge currently facing Sandoval County, and how would you work to address it?
That's a great question. I've lived in Rio Rancho my whole adult life. I'm my roots go deep in New Mexico. I've lived here my whole life, but I've been in Rio Rancho my whole adult life. So I think Rio Rancho's going through some growing pains. I think everybody can agree that Rio Rancho is growing fast. I think, we're the #1 growing city in the state. We're huge, getting big quick. And with that comes challenges. And even though we're the safest city, that I've in New Mexico, and it's a great place to live, I think that, we always want to stay in front of that. So I think public safety is always on the forefront, and that's something we got to keep our eye on. I think that, we got to improve and come up with different ways and ideas on how to fund and give our departments full capability to work and protect us, as well as infrastructure. We have a big, fast-growing community, and with that comes people and cars driving on our roads, and we want to make sure they're safe and build infrastructure and all those things. So I would say public safety and infrastructure are definitely on the radar.
Okay. And then as commissioner, what would you do to encourage business development and entice businesses to invest in Sandoval County, particularly when it comes to providing career-focused jobs, while also reducing the economic leakage the county is experiencing due to residents leaving the county each day to go to work?
Well, and that you bring up a great point. As I understand, approximately 47,000 people leave Sandoval County every day to go work somewhere else. And that's a problem. That when they leave, they're taking their dollars and cents and spending it elsewhere. So we got to get those jobs back. I think it's not too late to save those jobs and bring them back to Sandoval County. I think there's a lot of ways we can do that. I think one is invest in our children, our youth. We got to give young people a reason to want to live in Rio Rancho. And that reason has to be income. High-paying jobs. That's why people leave Rio Rancho. So I think there's a couple ways to do that. One would be invest and court real jobs, industry to come to Rio Rancho, bring high-tech jobs, high-paying jobs to Rio Rancho, as well as invest in our youth. We have great schools in Rio Rancho. Everybody knows it. A lot of people move to Rio Rancho for our schools. So invest in our children, get the trades involved in the high schools early, get them interested in the trades, and then feed them up to the larger program and keep those jobs in Sandoval County.
Okay. All right, and then the next question, how do you foresee balancing the growth of Sandoval County with the resources currently available?
Again, that's always a challenge. I think it's, growth, with growth comes big responsibility. And when we're talking about growth, we're talking, I guess, about, many different aspects of it. One is housing. I would say there's different ways to house the people that want to live in Sandoval County. Not everybody wants to live in a single family home on a big lot. Maybe there's other ways to build or, get more developers interested in building condos and townhomes, more density type building or living spaces for these younger people. These Gen X's, where they want to live. So I would say, that would be one way to get younger people to stay in Rio Rancho, high-paying jobs, more living options for them, and keep them here in Rio Rancho.
Okay. And then how will you, and as a whole the commission, balance the needs of Rio Rancho and the southern area of the county with the needs of the rural and unincorporated areas of the county, including the pueblos and tribal nations, especially when it comes to healthcare and infrastructure?
Yeah, and that's a great question. That one hits me true to my heart because I worked at Sandoval County Sheriff's Office for 7 years. And, there's a lot of Sandoval County where in the rural areas where these people may not have the access to the resources that I have living in Rio Rancho. So I think it's a balance. As we think about growth, it's not just our metro area, the bigger Rio Rancho, Sandoval area, but we gotta also include all of our rural areas. So anytime we're thinking about infrastructure, it's not just congestion and roadways in Rio Rancho, it's roads and infrastructure in these rural areas. And I think somebody like me who's driven on these roads at midnight, at 2 in the morning, where it's very dim lit and there's no lighting, or there's maybe even signage is really poor. I've been on these roads in the middle of the night in these rural areas, and we got to include all of these areas when we're thinking about growth and infrastructure. So as a county commissioner, not just District 3, but just entirely, I would consider all of that into the problem.
Okay, and then kind of on that note, how will you ensure residents in the rural and unincorporated areas of the county have equal access to government business, services, and resources?
And I think that's going to take a lot of collaboration, bigger than just me, right? It would take collaboration with other agencies, multi-agencies throughout the county, networking to everybody in the rural areas. So when we have resources that are available here in Sandoval, kind of the metro area, we need to make sure and continue to bridge that gap to the rural areas. And it takes work, right, to communicate and reach out to them. So I think communication is huge. A lot of people that live in the rural area may not even be aware that there are resources for them. So we need to go to that community and reach out to those leaders of that community and share the information at the ground level.
Okay. And then how would you grade the county's transparency, and what, if anything, would you do to change or address concerns residents have raised on the issue?
I think in every community, transparency is always a big issue. Everybody wants to know what's going on, they want to be involved, and they have every right to. And I'm sure in every community there is some transparency issues. With me, that's how I've always, even as the chief of police, we ran it transparent and we welcomed everybody to come in and look and get involved. So I would say anybody in Sandoval County that has concerns, reach out to their representative or reach out to another representative if they're not getting the right communication. But get involved and, come see and bring the questions to the forefront and let's talk about it. And if there's an issue, we'll get, me as District 3 County Commissioner, we'll address it, we'll get in front of it, we'll own it, and we'll fix it.
Okay. And where do you think the priority should be placed when it comes to current and proposed county projects?
Well, I think I'm probably, I'm always like going to be a little leaning towards public safety because as a retired cop, I think that's, I believe that's everything up front. You got to have a safe community and you got to have a safe place to be, people to feel safe to raise their families. So I believe public safety is always a number one. And number two, infrastructure's right there. Those would be the 1 and 2 in my book.
That's all we have for our questions at this moment. So is there anything that you would like to say in closing or add on to what we've covered?
Yeah, thank you. I would say, I appreciate everybody allowing me to be here. I'm not a politician. I'm not a polished public speaker, but I speak from the heart. I'm very real. And anybody that knows me, I say what I mean what I say. And I feel like I'm the best person for this District 3 County Commissioner because I've worked for the county. I know the inner workings of the county. I know who works at the county. And whoever the incoming sheriff would be, I know most of them, and I've worked with most of them. So I wouldn't have a problem moving into that role and be running in no time at all. So anybody, here or watching this, call me, contact me. I would love to talk to you, answer any questions you have. I'm an open book, and thanks again for having me.
All right, well, this wraps it up for the Sandoval County Commission District 3 forum with Republican primary candidate Edwin Paul Linson, and like I noted earlier, his primary opponent Daniel Stoddard. We're hoping to get in at another time to kind of talk about these same issues. So we thank you all for being here. We thank the Chamber for joining and hosting these forums, and we thank the Rio Rancho Public Schools for allowing us to use their space. So stay tuned, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.